Greetings, this is Tyler of Infinite Dragon, and today I want to speak about the topic of free will. It is a human quality that when looking at or speaking about something, it is regarded in isolation. The topic of free will is no exception. What I mean is that free will is not one singular idea as it applies to the human expression. It actually consists of three basic parts. Keep in mind, I say three basic parts to paint a simplified picture of the topic. It doesn't necessarily reflect the specifics of how things are. There are always many more perspectives that, humanly speaking, can be compared and contrasted. So, what are these three parts of free will? One part is the higher self perspective, and two parts are the human perspective. Keep in mind that while I am describing these different perspectives, they are all always the same one self, the higher self. So to begin, the higher self designs the human life, negotiating the details of who the parents will be. This will determine the geographic location on Earth where the human will live at. But also, the higher self chooses the parents in full awareness of their positive and negative qualities that will be imprinted and programmed into the human as it experiences being a child. This is done on purpose with the full awareness that the child, as it applies to most situations, will have no control over the first parts of its life, completely dependent on others for its survival. The entire human life is designed in this way, by the higher self, with an awareness that is more expanded than the human mind is designed to comprehend. This is important to note because while the entire human life is designed before being born, it is still operating on an unconditional set of universal laws, and as such, the higher self designs what I refer to as a theme. The overarching activities and experiences that will take place in one's life as a human. This is done while at the same time not knowing specifically what those experiences will look like until they are lived. This is similar to a book. You read the back cover for a view of the overall story. You then need to experience the book to know exactly how it will all play out. The first part of free will is you, the higher self, designing the human self and all the parameters of the theme. The second part is the theme itself. You will not be able to step outside of your theme. Even if you do step outside of your theme, it will be part of your theme to step outside of it. So as one human lifetime goes, you cannot step outside of your theme. And so it is from this perspective that you do not have free will. It is at this point that people often get discouraged as though they are enslaved in some way. And this is not the case at all. Just because your experiences at this spectrum of time are limited to only that which you can access from the reach of your human body, doesn't mean you're that limited. There are any infinite number of potential things that can happen 5 minutes from now, and there are infinite things that will happen 5 minutes from now, none of which we can really know until we experience them. For example, I have coffee in my cupboard, and it is certain that I will make coffee. There is a significant majority of potentials that have a strong momentum moving in the direction of me making coffee. Let's arbitrarily say there is a 99% chance of me making coffee. However, maybe I fall asleep. Maybe I get distracted. Maybe I won't make coffee for 3 days. An infinite number of things could happen in between me and the time of certain coffee. But I won't know specifically what that set of experiences will look like until I make the coffee. Another way to look at this is like the video game The Sims. The higher self designs the game and all of the software parameters for the game. Then, it uploads a seemingly smaller piece of itself into the game to live out its life exploring the game. The human, from within the game, cannot change the software of the game. But the higher self, expressing free will, knew this when it designed the game. So, while it looks like the human is not able to express free will to step outside of the theme, or in this case the game, it is still the same self, the same free will that designed the game, that, in one way, would opt into playing a game that it forgot it designed, the illusionary experience of not having free will. Another way of putting it is like you're going from destination A to destination B. As is with any line, there are an infinite amount of points along it. Or in this example, an infinite amount of activities and stops you can make going from A to B, and you can go there any way you choose. You can be happy, sad, slow, fast, and so on. But go from destination A to destination B, you will. Meaning, you will experience your life along the corridor of your theme with infinite options available. The other thing about this is that you don't need to worry about your theme. Living however you choose fulfills the theme. That is also why it is not the human's job to concern itself with the theme, because the theme plays itself out regardless of whether or not the human is aware of it. Which leads me to the third part. From within the parameters of the human environment and our themes, each of us has the free will to do what we want and move as we please. Now you may say, some people live in a place where they cannot do as they please. To which my reply would be, true, but the same dynamics are at play in creating infinite types of experiences. The higher selves of those individuals chose and designed their lives just the same as anyone else, knowing full well that their experiences would be that of humanly having an experience of a bit less free will than other human environments. It is using free will to experience the illusion of not having free will. Even then, there are still infinite potential opportunities within the seemingly more restricted environment. A common response to that is often one of non-acceptance. Well, I would never choose that. Who would choose that? No, you wouldn't, nor would I. As humans. That is specifically why you and I, from the human perspectives, were not and are not the authority that designed the theme of our human lives. And here is a really big point to note. The human life is not the starting point by which human lives are created. The human level is what comes after the choices have been made from the higher self level. There's a quote from the movie The Matrix Reloaded that put it quite eloquently. You didn't come here to make the choice. You've already made it. You're here to understand why you made it. The higher self, a perspective that is the better part of 100% more expansive and aware than we as humans are, made the choices they did. We, the same self that is the higher self, from the driver's seat, made the choices we did, as suits a constructive agenda of experiences that assists us in rebalancing ourselves and the planet with which we live. And so as it goes, existence is unconditional, meaning no conditions. So these choices, while understanding the feelings that humans will experience, have no bearing on the higher self making them. As an example, the point may be to balance out a certain energy to conclude its perpetuation, meaning stop it from continuing in a balanced and integrated manner. Thus, certain ingredients, certain experiences will be required to achieve the desired effect. While feelings are a consideration, they are viewed at the higher self level more as alchemical ingredients. The dialogue may go something like this. I require this person with this quality to beget this experience to serve this purpose. In turn, certain feelings and emotions will be felt. Addressing them will yield a specific type of growth/balance. Now, everything is you. Everything in existence is the same one self, none of which is negative or positive. Nothing is against you. So as it applies to the human environment, everything is designed for your benefit as per a larger, overarching theme of the earth that we all are participating in, utilizing an infinite amount of potentials and awarenesses. This awareness is impossible for the human mind to digest and comprehend aside from the general shape of the energy, such as how I am describing things to you now. That said, just because something looks bad doesn't mean it is. Nothing is bad or good. Everything, even everything in the human environment, unconditionally just is. It is the human view with a comparative lens that judges and assesses things to be good or bad, all of which are still for the benefit of the user, even if the user cannot see how. This then accounts for how some may seem like they have less free will, but in fact, they have just the same amount of free will, but just from a different perspective. There is an overarching activity of raising the Earth's vibration to a fifth density spectrum, and everyone on Earth is participating in that activity, willingly and by choice. However, one cannot bring in new if the space is occupied by the old, that is, old ways of thinking and behaving. Thus, these old perspectives, globally and personally, need to be brought to the surface, acknowledged, addressed, and then new behaviors of balance can replace them. This can be messy, traumatic, and uncomfortable, in just the same way one goes into surgery to get cut up to remove a cancer. The issue in the body needs to be observed, addressed, operated on, and then the body needs time to heal from the stress of being cut open and having the cancer removed. But this is all done for the sake of the betterment of the whole body. And so too is it with the designs initiated from the higher self perspective and the human life. So to recap, there are three general perspectives to the idea of free will as it applies to the human expression. 1. It is the higher self perspective that creates the human life with free will. 2. you cannot step outside of your human theme, thus, from this perspective, having the experience of no free will. And 3, the individual human that, from within the theme, can express itself freely with free will. And lastly, keep in mind, all of these perspectives are still the same one self that expressed an originating free will idea that willingly chose to experience certain illusions of lack of free will. I hope this was useful. Until next time, this is Tyler of Infinite Dragon.